Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. Today I'm very excited because I finished Persepolis Rising. I think I talked about this in a weekly update recently. But this is book 7 of The Expanse by James S.A. Corey, the two authors who are Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank. And this is a very interesting book because there's a time skip of 30 years from book 6 to 7. And that's really cool to me that the authors made that choice to do a time skip. And this will be mostly non-spoiler, so I don't really have any spoiler thoughts, so this should be safe to watch for anyone who hasn't read the book. But I really enjoyed sort of catching up with the older characters like James, Holden, Naomi Nagata, Amos, as always, he's my favorite. And what's her name? Bobby Draper. She's amazing in this book. But the one thing that I didn't really like about this book is the antagonist point of views, because we have this new big antagonist who is coming from beyond the rings and from this other sort of section of the galaxy after all of the events in book 6. And I was really excited for that. But none of that really mattered, it felt like, because we have an underling of the main antagonist named Singh, who is really interesting, and I really enjoyed reading his perspective. But he didn't have enough going on with the character that it wasn't really too interesting to read about him. Because he doesn't really change throughout the book. He just becomes more rabid and more sort of extreme when it comes to what he is trying to advocate for in the sort of events, because they're trying to found this empire across all of the planets, including Earth, Mars, everything with that we already know with the settings from the previous books. But this time they have this really powerful technology that no one really knows about until they just come out of the rings and start using it on the ships. And it's really cool. I love those sections of the first meet between these two forces, but I didn't really enjoy reading the perspective of Singh. I thought he had an amazing introduction, and I really loved this book up until the halfway point, but I felt like it didn't really matter what this guy was going to do. And his end, by the end of the book, is somewhat satisfactory, but I was wanting more of that main antagonist. And I'm hoping that book 8 goes into that more, because the final books of The Expanse form a trilogy. It's all 30 years after. And the characters that we already know, like James Holden, Naomi, as I said, are all amazing in this book. The older, the more sort of wiser, and they're sort of sick of it. They want to retire. And we have Alex as well, who's an amazing character in the series, who I love a lot. He's the pilot, if you don't know. But I really didn't care for the events in the story. What I love most about The Expanse is the sci-fi element. And it doesn't really go into that at all, aside from the weapons that the new enemy is using. And I like that stuff a lot, but the rest of the book is all politicking, which I don't mind politics. I don't mind reading about all the different sides and their agendas and the different characters. But what made The Expanse amazing for me, especially in the first 4 books, was all of the fantastical elements. And that's not really here. Singh talks about how he wants to learn more about the creators of the proto-molecule, which is what the entire story springboards off of from books 1 to 4. And it's really interesting. I love that. Book 4 even, which is a not as well-liked book in the series, I love that book still, because we were on Io and looking for more explanations behind the science and everything with that, and I loved it. But now it seems like the series is only focused on the politics, which, again, I don't mind it in small doses for the series, But considering that this entire book is about the politics between all of this, I didn't really like it that much. And I will say, though, that the POV of Drama, who is a character that was made for the TV show, and the authors were so wowed by her performance that they made her a main character in these future books. I loved her character arc. She was absolutely fascinating reading about her and sort of her becoming president and having to wrangle all of these different forces and having to react to all this new technology. I loved it. I loved her POV. I loved Amos's. Clarissa, she's amazing. Clarissa Mao. Bobby Draper and James Holden are actually talking about retiring in this book, and they almost do it, but then all of the action starts and the sort of drag back into the problems of it. And I really enjoyed that part a lot too. But I think by the end of the book, I was just, if I didn't already have books 8 or 9, I think I would have stopped the series at this book and just looked up the ending, because as much as I love The Expanse, I feel like the last 3 books, books 5 and 6 and 9, or 7, I mean, 5, 6, 7, all 3 of these books I have not really enjoyed at all. And I think I want to prioritize other series, but I also have that completionist attitude right now where I want to finish The Expanse, the books, and I also have the short story collection with all the novellas and the short stories surrounding the events to sort of fill out more world building and smaller characters. I love the short novellas, but they don't really stick with me. I don't remember too many of them, aside from the ones that the TV show covered. But I would say my rating for this book is just a 6.5 out of 10. It's good. I think other people will love it a lot more than I did. But me personally, I just did not care as much about what was going on. The only reason I continued reading this book was because I'm a completionist. I want to finish the Expanse. But it's also revisiting these older characters that we haven't seen in 30 years. So that was really fun. I enjoyed it. But I think there needs to be a stronger focus on the sci-fi, because that's where the series really, really excelled for me. But there's really nothing else I want to talk about with The Expanse. I think this book specifically would work really well as an adaptation, and I hope that the show goes back one day, maybe when the actors are a little bit older. That way they can get more gray and white in their hair, like in the characters in the books. But I think the adaptation I would like a lot more, because I did love the final seasons of the TV show, even though I didn't like the books. So I think this is sort of a pattern with The Expanse, is that when it comes to the politicking side, the TV show does it so well, and reading about it is sort of a bore for me, because it's sort of just revisiting a lot of the same plot points, revisiting a lot of the same sort of character moments, but other characters are experiencing it. I don't know, but I'm hoping books 8 and 9 are better, but if not, whatever. The short books are like 500 pages each, so I can finish them in about a month. I'm hoping to finish them this year by the end of December. If not, then I don't know. I've been reading the series for 3 years now. I want to be done with it. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this book. So thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the day.